So just to give you an idea of what's special about recording a pivot way line, you go to the same place that you would set up a normal AB straight line, but we're going to do the same default name, but instead we'll hit pivot. And what we're going to do here is, as we're driving, so I want to, first trick is to kind of get yourself in position, and as you're rolling forward it's a little bit more accurate than just sitting still and going from there. Roll forward into position, and then when you know you're kind of lined up, just reach over and start hitting record. So what it's going to do is it's going to start watching, you know, how sharp of a circle is it, you know, how accurate is it while you're making that circle. So because we're not in a real pivot, I'm just kind of showing you this. So I'm going to go ahead and hit finish, and it's going to make that pivot line. Now it's really hard to see because we're zoomed in quite a ways, but go ahead and lock on and it'll start making that little pivot turn, and it's going to get a little too tight here for us to see that. But what we are doing here is it's just watching us. The best way to make that line is to be on the furthest outside tower. That way any errors that you make while, you know, a little bit of swerving in the tower or a little bit of variance of swerving left or right when you're making the line, it becomes less of an issue if you're on the outside tower. So go ahead and stop. If you're on the outside tower going inward, it's more accurate to make your line out there, versus if you're on the furthest inside, any little error or hiccup you have in the line actually gets worse as you go to the outside tower. Now it doesn't mean that that's always the case, it just seems to be a little bit easier if you do the outside tower versus the inside tower. And so it's not a big deal to get it set up, you just got to do it in the right order, and it's pretty handy once you get it going. The nice thing is that because some pivots are joined with other pivots or straight lines, you can still go back and we can go look at a straight line, because sometimes you've got, like, down the middle of the field, you kind of cut it in half, so you've got straight lines there as your headline, and you can switch back to those other AB lines and still switch back and forth between a pivot and a straight line. It just makes it kind of nice that you can have two different lines that you're using and not lose the old one, as long as you name it something you can recognize or know where to find it. And that's why the default name is nice if you're trying to get to it in a hurry, but if you name it something that you can recognize, go back to, then you can reuse that line a little easier.